Hello, Warriors. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Bruno? Welcome to F.A.C.E. I don't recognize your last name. AJ, Brand, Mike, I came in. James, everyone doing okay? Okay, let's go to work here. Why don't I just start off with Kman. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dale. Good morning, Blake. Good morning, everybody.
All right. So the question is, after Friday, has the dollar peaked? Have
Uh,
yields peaked?
well, yields have peaked right now, and I think there's just enough in the jobs weeks reports to keep them in check. Now we are going to have to watch what the issuance are again. We do have a bit of treasury issuances this week, but all else equal, I would say that they will find some takers. Has the dollar peaked? I don't know. I mean, it's the rest is doing all right. So I'm really very lightly positioned right now. But it depends on which dollar. I think the euro is still, if you look at the euro dollar, it's still well within a range. Buyers on dips, yeah, perhaps. But then, I mean, they are going to cut in June, so I know it's still a month away. But are people really going to buy euro dollar? If there's any other dollars, may look perhaps a bit better. I don't know. Perhaps the antipodians like the Aussie and the Kiwi. We have also central banks this week. Bank of England, is the sterling going to rise, despite Bailey saying that he thinks we are going closer to moving closer to target, at least on inflation. It's could be a bit of a bizarre week. That's what I think. I mean, if you look at the dollar yen says that the dollar isn't dead, but that's because perhaps the yen is just not very alive. It's just $1 against the other. I think there's nothing. I can't go completely all overboard selling dollars against whatever. No, it's still going to be very selective in my opinion.
That's a textbook key reversal in the end from last week.
You mean
Uh,
from the top to the bottom, or
the
the rise
candle.
again this morning?
No, last week's action. That's a weekly candle.
Intervention?
It's an outside week key reversal.
Yeah, but
Made it
it's
new
intervention.
all-time highs. I mean, you can't argue with, you know, the candle. That's
No.
what it's saying.
So
Doesn't
what
mean
needs to
that
cap then to keep this in this as a reversal? Where should the top be then?
the top is last week's high before intervention.
Yeah, but I mean that there should be a level where it cannot go above to keep this pattern alive, no? In between.
No, could rally. You could get recoveries without the high being taken out. Maybe 56,
Yeah.
58. 58 worked pretty good, even if you missed the reversal. But you can't argue with the candle. I've seen key reversals be negated, but I don't bet against them. So, I
Oh,
mean,
okay. Yeah, I understand.
so, not saying that we can't rally.
But if you look
Look
at
at
just
for
your picture that you showed now, that 152 is also being confirmed as a bottom.
yeah, I had confluence here. At
Mhm.
52, I drew this line when it didn't make any sense before it got down here. And then I think it must have been the daily that we had. Yeah, look at that.
I
The
think
fifth,
152, I think is a
yeah,
monster level.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's confluence with the 50-day right there. So it held. I think eventually it'll be broken. So, and if it is broken, then you just measure uh, 800 pips from 52 is going to give you like 44.
Mhm.
I think we saw the high of the year in the end. So
It is very possible, but I want to see 152 break on in a natural way to start to talk really reversal,
okay, uh,
not due to interventions.
okay, all right. So that's valid to wait for it to break 152.
Yeah,
You know, then you would think 48 was right around the corner if that happened.
I would say so.
That's
I
a
mean
200 day.
that is actually what I had in mind on when I bought my puts. Um, with that we could if 152 breaks and hold and caps that should bring us somewhere down to the 148s, but let's see. I mean they were still on holiday today, Japan, and we are like 180 points of the lows, about 100 points higher than where we left it on the Friday close, or 80 points. um I think tomorrow is a pretty important day for the yen traders once they are back from holidays, once the guys Kanda and Suzuki are back. That should be a pretty important day tomorrow. Where what they say tomorrow about all these. If they remain very silent, I wouldn't be surprised if we retest 155.6.
Yeah, and this 105 level still in. We got to 104.50, but back under 105 on the dollar. I'd sell rallies back to old support, new resistance,
Mm,
five and a half, 570, wrong over the double top.
Yeah, I mean, that's good morning, Dale. Good morning,
Good
K-Man.
morning.
That's
Good morning.
exactly what I'm hanging my hat on is the double top that's playing out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this could be major in the dollar, and I know trader psychology, and they're saying, well, if I didn't get short last week, I missed it. But you didn't miss it if we, do something like this from here, and that's going to take it to a major breakdown area down there around 100. I think it's possible. So, really, when you think about it, since the peak, we really haven't staged anything that dramatic. If we get through 6.5, then you got something else happening. But um, this too, not a key reversal, but pretty negative looking. So the off number for it to me, it would have to reclaim 106 to give it credence for another push up. So summer preps.
One of the things that I'm having a difficult time reconciling in my own mind, and maybe K-Man, you can chime in here too about this because Dale, every week I talk to your buddy Jim Welsh, and him and I do a little special, and he goes into his charts, and he's been arguing that we're going to be seeing a rally to sell into here in equities, but the dollar's also going to be weak, and I can't reconcile the dollar being weak with stocks being weak. It just doesn't. It's not registering in my head, and I'm short the dollar right now. So and you look at equities. Equities are pushing the 618 retracement, which we can talk about in a bit. But how do you see a world where stocks go down and the dollar is going down? I mean, and I'm asking both of you guys. What do you think, Dale?
Well, if you look at emerging markets, I have it here somewhere. While
Mm-hmm.
we were correcting, it's been exploding to the upside. EEM. I'm looking
Yeah.
for the symbol. So um, I think we get outperformance overseas, and especially emerging markets, which has been pressured by a strong dollar for many years. Here we go. Okay, so look, I mean, compare what's happened in the S&Ps. That's a weekly, but here's your daily. Look at that chart.
Yeah,
So,
it's exploding. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
and I look, that looks great. That's going to keep the Mexican peso probably bid. Cayman probably has a few things to say about South Africa because the rand is actually trying to break out today. There's a lot of things that look decent there. So
yeah.
again, Cayman, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you see a world where
Uh,
stocks go
mm.
down and the dollar's going down too?
Yeah, it is all possible, but that is if the US turns if the US data turns sour, then it's a very possible scenario. Have we got it yet? I'm not sure, because if I look at those data that came out of the, calling it the jobs week, weakening or softening, yes. Falling out of bed, no. We're still below 4% unemployment. Yeah, the average hourly earnings are coming down a bit. People are already panicking about underemployment rising, but I'm not sure if we're already in a scenario where we can say equities down, dollar down. Can we do the opposite, like equities up, dollar up? That's a bit far searching right now as well. But I think somewhere risk can do a little bit better now. But you were asking about what's the kind of scenario. I think we need much worse data out of the US to really see the
Yeah.
equities.
Remember we were talking about how there during this sell-off in S&Ps that there was no safe haven buying coming in, and it kind of reminded me of gold holding up despite all the things thrown against it, higher yield, stronger dollar.
Yep.
And, euro held up great during this, first sell-off that we had in the market. So, I mean, here was S&Ps and here was euro. Almost
Yeah,
opposite
that is
directions,
your
right?
logic. That is your logic move. If, equities up, dollar down is what the correlation trade is.
Well, it used to be safe haven to get a bid, and a weak dollar was risk on. And
Yeah, well,
that's what may keep, and it may be risk on for everything, and even equities eventually. But there could be a time lag between lower yields and a lower dollar helping the market catch a bid if we're going to have a failing rally in equities. But it's going to keep people wrong-footed, I think, for a long time. They're going to see a weak dollar and they'll want to buy the market, and it may not work. So, things always change. It's been hammered into our head for years now that the dollar gets safe haven bids. So we'll see. I'm sure there'll be an event or two to test that theory out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Israel's talking about going into Rafah now, so that'll be probably our first test.
So Dale, do you mind if I take over
No,
from here?
I
Yeah, I want to
always
go
am
over a few different.
celebrated.
What's that?
I celebrated
You
every single.
celebrated. You're like, get me out of the limelight. All right. I want to talk a little bit about I think the like I said, the dollar looks pretty weak here. And let's before I go digging into some of these majors and into the metals and whatnot, I just want to first and foremost take you over to the dollar index. And this is what I'm seeing, Dale. And like you said, and I agree with you, any move back up to this neckline here of this double top, you got to sell into. But the question is, are we going to get that today? And it doesn't even feel like that. The problem is if you're long dollars, it's not, the market's not letting you out. And so the euros catching a bid, as Kman just pointed out, and Antipodeans like the Aussie, I mean, it's broken out. It's broken its, this descending trend line. We start getting above 67 cents and this thing's going to take off, especially with the likes of like copper moving. Gold still looks pretty strong. Kiwi's actually finally broken its descending trend line or descending channel. So you see a lot of these trends that have been entrenched in the market, where we have every day we go through all these pairs. And when I'm going to show you this bias chart, this is something that, if you're in the Forex Analytics community, we go through all of these majors about an hour from now. We all do all these major levels, identify where all the key levels are. One of the big differences that you see here that we saw last week is all these major currencies all had, basically dollar bullish range, dollar bullish biases, and they all switched, at the end of the week last week. So what that means is, we've been entrenched in these big, dollar bullish moves, and they've all shifted gears. And we've seen that shift systematically come across the market. So, you look at the euro, and the euro, Kman points out rightly, we're in a range. I don't disagree. And the Gartley pattern points us to this, 108.30. We talked about on Friday that jobs data was going to take the euro above 108. It did. It got us to 108.10. But people like Mark Chandler, he actually sent me a private message on Friday, and he's like, Blake, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, I see it. But it seems like, these consolidation patterns might end up breaking. And with the dollar index looking as vulnerable as it does look like you got, the sterling that's back, inside of its previous channel. It's outside of this descending channel. You've got the dollar really looking vulnerable. And I should probably mention, because Kman, you talked a little bit about this inside the chat room. You got even, currencies like the South African rand that's been, wound up really tight. It's trying to break. And we have elections coming up this month in South Africa. And, you're seeing these emerging market currencies even looking a little bit here. So anyway, I wanted to just chat with you guys about the yen. There's some big yen developments that I think have taken place. Like you see the euro yen, we bounced pretty aggressively off of previous channel support. But this dollar yen, it looks like 152 is and will continue to be the line in the sand. You think there's going to be some Japanese official chatter today after their, I think, what do they have today? There's a holiday. It's Greenery Day.
No, today was a holiday in Japan. Today
Yeah.
is what is it today? Children's Day. Oh yeah, I should know. Children's Day today. Mm.
Observance of Greenery Day and Children's Day, of
Yeah,
course.
Children's Day was always a big thing. Is always a big thing over there.
Is it? Okay. Well,
Very nice day, by the way.
so that dollar yen, that
Green
150.
children, green
Yeah.
children. They ate their mom's cooking. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we have that 152 level. Looks like it's going to be a real big one, and it's the breakdown point in the 6J. But like I was asking, Kman, you think we're going to get some comments from some BOJ officials tonight? Then
I wouldn't rule it out. But we have seen already that again. The once they are done intervening, you look at all those yen crosses. If you don't like the dollar yen, fine. But the rest of the yen crosses are already starting to completely reverse after the intervention. Not completely reverse. We are not higher, etc., etc. But they are finding very, very solid bids. And you look at whatever cross yen you look at. It's going to take something special to still have the yen strengthen lastingly, and that could come in. But we are really going to need something special, I think, to really turn the yen around. I mean, let's not forget, Bank of Japan is not really helping to curb the yen, right? They are still in their very close cooperation with the government. They don't count on them to put in Japanese interest rates at 2 or 2.5%. That's not going to happen.
it is amazing and jaw dropping that they have not been able to create or they've created as little inflation as they have. But I've got to imagine that in the months and maybe like even the next couple years, I think I'd have to imagine that Japanese inflation would really start to tick higher, as their currency is so low and they import so much, from commodities and energy. And I would, I mean, I know that's everybody's argument, but boy, it's been an anomaly, hasn't it been?
Yeah, but the thing is, Blake, if you look back at the deflation years, yen was not weakening. And now we could be in inflation years and yen not strengthening.
Yeah, I
The old,
guess.
the old correlations were completely different as the ones that we see post-pandemic. But don't forget that the emerging market currencies were regularly getting hammered, yet they had interest rates well above the rest of the world. I mean, the thing is, high inflation, high currency doesn't is not per se a watertight correlation. It has been, and during the stages where all central banks were hiking rates, and especially in the US, for instance, but it's not necessarily your usual correlation, if you look back historically. So
Yeah, but Japan's a little the reason why I
always
point that
different.
out is just because they're so different. It's a little
Yeah.
island, let's call it, and in the world, and they have to import everything. And so with this, just the weakness of the currency
Mm,
and just strength of commodities globally,
yeah.
you would think, right? You would
Yeah, but
think.
if
Anyway,
the problem in Japan is inflation may ramp higher, but is the Bank of Japan going to put their government finances in danger? That is a
yeah,
real question over there.
yeah. Good point. Good point. Hey, let's cover just a couple of other things because I want to talk about where equity's at. I want to talk where precious metals are at. And I'll first we'll start with like gold and silver. Let's just say that silver went to $26, right where it needed to, and we bounced pretty aggressively. Gold looks very constructive, and matter of fact, I don't think this bear flag is going to play out. And something I drew for on the week ahead video, which I think is more succinct here, is gold looks like it's developing like a pennant, which if you're a bull, or let's say you're somebody that just wants to buy some gold, I don't know, it looks like it's ready to take off again. And with the dollar as weak as it is, that doesn't surprise me much. And silver still looks very constructive here at $26. Do you guys have any opinions about precious metals? But
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think
Dale,
go
Dale,
ahead. Go
how
ahead, Kman.
I was going to ask Dale how the miners looking because we haven't looked at those, but
I still, regardless of what the physical's doing, even if it makes new highs, that'll be a 5, according to Grega and some other wave guys. So I'm not expecting that much from the miners. Maybe put GDX up as kind of the blue chip large cap. So you got that trend line up there too. It's a big triangle.
yeah,
Maybe I'm not expecting a breakout here. I still think that be able to buy GDX at that's a weekly 30. So that's 10% lower
yeah,
from here. I don't know how it's going to get there. I was thinking that maybe a day when gold isn't strong and equities in general are weak, that they get taken down with equities
yeah.
because
Oh,
it doesn't look like they're going to be taken down by gold. Um, there could be one more dip in gold, but I'm just saying, if I don't look at my charts, I'd have FOMO about buying the
yeah,
miners.
yeah. I mean, it looks like it wants to go up again. K-Man,
Right.
did you have any opinions about precious metals here?
Yeah, they are holding up very well.
Yeah,
They really are holding up very well, and all of them, if you look at the less the less precious as well, copper is looks to be pushing through. Commods are holding up well. The world is still looking at everything through a positive lens, and there's still this underlying thing going on that we don't want too many dollars, so we prefer to have some gold, perhaps still in the back of the mind, the geopolitical risk. So there's still a lot going for gold, and now especially that we've seen yields coming down in the US as well. So I mean, there's still a lot going for them.
and I should probably, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention crypto. I mean, Bitcoin still looks Like, and I know somebody mentioned it in the comments earlier. I mean, Bitcoin is still holding up like a bull flag pattern. As much as it has a false breakout on the weekly chart, I wouldn't be playing into that while this bull flag is holding up. And you can see like even false breakdown last week
Yeah.
is, it still looks it looks like it could, it could rip up towards 70,000 again at least. Anyway, very interesting. Euro's popping right now. And I guess I want to ask you this really quick before I want to show you guys just the S&Ps, because so many people are trying to lean into the being short up here. We're breaking a trend line right now in the S&P. We're at the 618 retracement. I think it looks like we can go to 5,200. You look at the NASDAQ's pushing the 618. NASDAQ 100 looks like we could press up above the 50 DMA here. Stocks look good, and we don't have anything really to stand in the way. We got CPI next week, PPI next week, but that's next week. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you before we go, and I'm going to talk to Kman about this. We have the RBA tonight, and look
Yeah.
at the Aussies ripping. There's a chance that the RBA could be kind of hawkish tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, thing is, Bullock left all options open, and that's been understood and probably rightfully so as being a bit hawkish. So the market expects a hawkish hold next night for me, very early morning for me. So yeah, I mean, the market is even trying to price in the possibility of a hike later down the road, but I think that may be a little far-fetched. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe a bridge too far,
maybe a
right?
hawkish hold.
I'm sorry, I was going to say a bridge too far. I was trying to make a joke, but yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's some data are supportive of at least like leaving the door open, but I think most of the data are not really supportive for a hike. So I'm going into the meeting relatively neutral. I might actually try to get up for it. It's very early morning, my morning. So
Well, I picked up some Aussie on Friday, following the jobs
yeah,
report,
me too.
and my average is at 66 cents. So, I own some, and I'm gonna be adding. And Chuck asked, like, is copper giving Aussie a bid? I think copper, I think risk appetite, I think the fact that it didn't sell off, when you
Not
look at
China.
yeah, China. Yeah. I mean, look at the Hang Seng. This is you guys. If you haven't looked at these markets,
Yep.
look at Hang Seng double bottom. Actually, you could argue that's a higher low. We've broken out to the upside since last week. We've been posting these in the S&P in the indices chat room like the last week. Look at the China 50. I mean, this thing looks these markets look bullish. And if you're wondering where the Aussie's catching its bid, I mean, you got a lot of things working for it right now. So, and it's hard to stand in the way when you see all of these different dominoes around it falling in the right direction, which is going to help the Aussie. Then you have like the Aussie Kiwi that's in breakout territory. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen this. This one's, I've been trying to buy dips all last week and couldn't get a dip down to 109.50 to buy it. So, you got some of these crosses that are breaking out. I mean, yeah, it's hard to stand in front of the Aussie when that's all
Hard
happening.
to stand in front of anything with the weaker dollar and lower yields coming. Someone asked me on Twitter
Yeah.
which asset classes do the best with a weak dollar. I said almost everything.
Yeah, there you go. And there's something to be said. If you get the dollar right, you can pretty much get
Yeah,
everything else right. At least in this market, that's been the case. There's a lot of calls that yields have peaked here. Now,
peaked
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of those calls.
78.6.
Yeah, 78% retracement held, and we might create a lower low, and a lower low in yields probably going to mean a weaker dollar. And how's that translate to the rest of the markets? Well, we'll let you decide. Dale, I know you have an interview coming up. I'm going to just make a couple of mentions. Make sure you guys check out the Trader Funding Program. Remember, we do have coaching if you want to have some one-on-one time with Kman, myself, Ryan. Look, you can just see all of the different coaches that are available. And also check out ForexAnalytix. Just, we're like, our community is buzzing with, we're just all chatting this morning about yen carry trade and what's happening in the dollar, and what's happening in South Africa is the dollar rand breaks 1840, very critical support this morning, and everything that's coming up there. Those are the conversations that are happening inside of our community right now. So make sure you just figure out one way or another how to get inside this community to talk about the markets, just like we all love to do all day long. And I'm in there all day long. So is Kman for the most part, during the European hour. So is Ryan, and we'll see you guys in there. All right. So Dale, have a great interview, and happy
Thanks,
Monday
Blake.
to everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Kman. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you,
And
Dale. Thank
all
you.
right,
Thanks, guys.
nice job, guys. Hi, Kim. Welcome back to F.A.C.E. Nice to have you.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Kim?
I'm good. How are you? Today I'm
Doing
having my camera.
that's okay. Do you want to share your screen so we could see
Uh,
what you look at, or you want me to share mine?
yeah, you can share yours because actually I'm on my phone with you. I have my
Okay,
screen up in front of me, but I couldn't log in from my computer for some reason, so I'm on
no
my phone.
problem. All right, so why don't we talk about what happened last week? And it was a pretty big week. Are you of the view that yields peaked probably for a while after last week's Fed and last week's NFP? You have a view, and did you recommit to TLTs down here?
I did not re-enter TLT. I'm looking where it's at right now. I kind of wish I
Yeah,
had because it
yeah.
was down, it'd gotten back down to what, 80, 88?
87, 87-ish
87.
down. Yeah,
Yeah.
here.
And and if they peaked, I mean, it's hard to predict it. I'm of the mindset that inflation isn't going to keep rising right now. We just had like a collapse in the cocoa prices, right?
Yeah,
Did you see that? Not that that
yeah,
affects
yeah. I
inflation, but
mean,
there's like
yeah,
supply chains seem to be easing up, and but who knows, because geopolitical, all these different things can affect inflation. So um yeah, I think it's hard to
yeah.
predict, but
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be like in the stratosphere with inflation.
Okay. Um, I'm searching for, and you're a follower of the dollar. Does the dollar matter to you when you're trading?
Definitely. So
Okay.
if I'm trading short term, not merely investing, because obviously there's, as we know, difference between trading and investing. If I'm trading short term, then yes, the dollar makes a difference, especially with like small cap stocks, um, different types of short term trades, because the market kind of peaks when the dollar keeps rising.
So Russell would benefit the most out of all the other indices from a weak dollar.
Yeah, and obviously the yield's going down.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if
yeah.
it benefits the most, but it helps it.
Okay. So, because it's been still the weakness, everyone's waiting for it to play catch up to Russell, but a weak dollar, if this turns into a trend, could probably really generate. I actually thought that a strong dollar, because these are mainly domestic U.S. stocks, was better for Russell, but maybe,
Well,
I'm
you're
open.
more the expert than I am.
Yeah, so I don't know if it is or not, but uh, I think last week we may have had a dollar peak and a yield peak, and it's probably hard to be short anything with a weak dollar. You said uh, when we sent messages to each other that this was your best trade. It was one of your best trades. You were long silver for the ride.
Yes, that was like that was a great trade for me because I started buying it, the futures. So I was trading the futures down at 21. And
Wow,
when it
nice.
hit about, and I think it was at 22 or so, or right around there when we talked last.
Yeah.
And I rode it up to about 26 and 27 and a half, and then kind of thought, oh, it's peaked.
Yeah.
And then it came back down a little bit and I bought it again and got out around 28 and a half.
Okay. So you're
So
currently flat?
I'm flat it.
Okay. Where would you want to
I know
buy it again?
it's had a big move today.
Yeah, where would you want to buy it again? If you think
I
there's
would
more runway left here.
Where it was basing before it broke out was right. Let me see where it's at today. Was about that 26 and a half. So that would have been a good buy. That's why it's up
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
I didn't want to short it though. I did actually try to short it and had a tight stop on it.
Yeah.
And that was before it got smashed down. But it's probably rising today because a lot of the geopolitical, going on
Yeah.
right now, because there were going to be peace talks or
Yes.
possible and so I think that's what really, I mean, it's very sensitive to everything that's going on geopolitically.
God, I would love to see a peace break to buy it.
Well,
That's
that just
kind of my
happened.
style.
Yeah.
What there's a peace agreement or just a
No, not
truce?
agreement, but there were talks in the works
Okay.
between
Okay.
Israel and Haman that I think Egypt was going to facilitate, and then those broke down to my understanding. I don't know that they're all the way off the
Okay.
table, but those broke down. I think that's why you're seeing the big move up today.
In gold. Yeah, and
Mhm.
they're talking about going into Rafa. Anyways, if that should happen down the line and gold sells off on some kind of peace deal or truce deal, those are buying opportunities. Just mark it in your memory because gold's
Are
not
you
going
in
up.
it?
I'm in miners,
Yeah,
and
miners.
the reason I'm not chasing physical here is because I think that the miners can pull back a bit. Here's GDX. He had that nice move from about 25 to 35 right here. And I'm still looking for, I think this is a correction that could take us back down to 30 and a half, which is about halfway back. So I'm being patient for that and not having FOMO and buying them by adding to miners on strength. I'm going to either miss it or get my price down here. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing. I mainly traded the miners instead of the actual physical because they've been lagging, and they can get hit if there's a sell-off in the market. What do you think about the market here, Kim? After we had this, nice little sell-off and bottom because violence had stopped in the Middle East, and now we have yields and a weaker dollar working for it. Was this it in your view? And we're just going to go to new highs for the move?
Well,
Was
what
that
is the
enough?
saying? Sell in May and go away.
Yeah. Do you believe that's going to work this year?
I mean, I think that the market seems to be toppy right now in any type of like news or, bad earnings, like when Meta came out, sent
Yeah.
the market way down. So
Yeah.
I think we're range bound right now. I mean, do we hit at the new highs? We could slowly grind up, but I think we're definitely range bound right now until we get some new catalyst that either sends us up or down. And that's how I'm basically trading it. Like I'm being just more cautious about trades that I'm putting on. And trade, I have, we heard Warren Buffett this, weekend, and he has a lot of cash on the side. And so I have a lot of my dollars, I've been raising cash and I have those in the trading account in Bill and in SGov, just a place to get some interest.
Okay. Like a T-bill account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
the
okay.
ETFs.
So, what did Buffett say his reasons are? You can't find anything with value, or he's worried about something. I'm trying to come up with some type of narrative that could derail this rally. And all I could come up with is that, yeah, at first, rates dropping, the market will celebrate. But if they keep dropping, they may be dropping because of not just inflation coming down, but signs of economic weakness, that we have
Yeah.
some type of growth scare.
Mm-hmm.
And that would, rates would still, the bonds would still perform and maybe outperform the market in that environment. What do you think?
Definitely. No, I definitely agree. I mean, if the economy starts to, starts to foible and, job growth or unemployment goes up and, I know there's talk of out there of stagflation, which could
Yes.
be the worst outcome, but Powell, really talked that down at the FOMC meeting. So, yeah, I
Okay.
think that definitely, I just think we're range bound right now unless we have some catalyst either way. I mean, we are coming up to the election season.
Yeah.
And, as that gets going more, maybe we'll get some clarity on who's getting in office, and that might send the market either way.
Yeah, that could be. Or if the country's going to accept the election results in a tight race, either side.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be litigated.
Me
Litigated.
too. Me too.
Yeah. So
Me
I
too.
mean, and
And
who
not
knows what
taking
up?
a political stand. I agree with you. I think actually if it's close, both sides might litigate it. And then
Right.
that could, I don't know. Do you remember what happened? We're going to go way back now to the
Gore.
market during Gore and Bush when it was being litigated.
Yeah.
And
I
we didn't know
don't.
for months. Yeah, I don't either.
I don't.
So
Yeah.
that was 2000 after .com bubble.
Okay. So maybe that was part of the bust.
Yeah, possibly. Because we
Okay.
didn't know who the president was going to be until January. Basically, right. I don't think we found out till late December or January, if I can remember correctly. And so there
Okay.
was a lot of unease. There wasn't really unrest, but there was unease, or I don't remember there being unrest.
Okay.
But I don't remember, back to the markets, how
Yeah.
that affects the markets might be a window in time, but I haven't looked at that.
Okay. And what issues are you still you have bullish conviction on still, Kim, even though you've been
So I'm
raising cash?
still, yeah, and I've been raising cash more with trades, not with cutting long-term positions that I have. So
Okay.
very bullish Google. There were a lot of naysayers on Google because they foibled I don't know why I keep using that word today. It's like my go-to word today.
All right.
They, their AI introduction did not go well. I don't know, just a lot of people I was talking to on different spaces were very bearish Google. And for me, Google has such a great moat. It has a great enterprise, business enterprise system. Many businesses, including, Costco, uses Google as their, email platform. They use it for Google Docs. School districts use it. Not that they're making money at the school districts, but a lot of places use it. And so I just stayed long and I just stuck with my conviction, and they had a great earnings.
Yeah,
So,
look, there it is.
yep.
Huge gap here. So maybe we're
And
going to
it had
run
gone
away.
down to like 130 and
Yeah, down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had done added a couple hedge wrappers to it because it had definitely broken down.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm very bullish Google. They're definitely, I don't believe, going to get left behind in the AI race. I'm most bullish though, Microsoft.
Okay.
I have people that we know because we live up here in tech, the
Right.
tech industry. And we have people that we talk to all the time, have our ear down to the ground. And, they're using the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot at many different businesses that use computer programming. And some computer programmers I've talked to said it's really helping them or computer engineers, that's really helping them to code faster, the simple types of code. It can't really help with complex types of code yet, or it's not as efficient from my understanding. It's a layman's perspective of what I'm hearing, but it is helping them, and they're using it with the more simple types of coding. This is at
Okay.
major companies, so not going to name them, but so
Okay.
I'm bullish. I think Satya Nadella is one of the best CEOs in the country. People I talk to at Microsoft oftentimes seem very happy there. He's the one that transformed the company from when Steve Ballmer, that stock had done nothing for a decade or more. And he's the one that started going to the cloud using Azure. And do you remember that there were so many naysayers on Wall Street about him moving Microsoft to the as a cloud company?
Yeah.
And
He was
that
ahead of
proved
the curve. Yeah.
Yep. He was ahead of the curve. And so anyway, he's really transformed Microsoft, right? Brought it
Okay.
out of like a go nowhere stock to, one of the best companies, I believe. And
I know
leaders.
you've liked Amazon too, right?
Yes, I do. I do like Amazon. I mean, I think Amazon's just I don't know that there's anything, special about Amazon. I actually did cut some shares of Amazon, and they
Okay.
had a great earnings, and I cut it before earnings. Just a little bit. I trimmed it.
Okay. And Nvidia, you doing anything with that?
I don't have, my husband told me to buy that at 95
Yeah.
or 100,
Okay.
105, I think it was at.
All right.
If we got a big pullback, I've been in and out of it over the years, but I've never stayed consistently in Nvidia.
Right.
So I did play some options on Nvidia though, and that ended up being a really good trade as it was just moving up for, a straight 6 months or whatever.
Okay.
One of my little dark horses is Hood.
Okay. And what is Hood?
Hood is Robinhood. It's the,
Oh,
trading
okay.
platform, the one that was, got
Yeah.
so beaten down after the whole game meme
Right.
stock debacle.
Yeah.
But they've started a credit card and they're attracting people by paying like I don't remember the percentage, but kind of a high percentage for people to bring their retirement accounts over.
Okay. They're asset accumulators now instead of just trying to get the day traders. They're going for
Correct.
right. They're going for their change if they're going for IRAs and so forth. All right. So Hood, I wanted to ask you about Apple. Apple. Fortunately, I'd been selling rallies for a year, but I follow option sweeps. I know you do too, and
Yeah.
they can and they can point you in the right direction. Anyway, there are big call sweeps happening right here. So I covered my short, and then down here I was saying, "Oh, damn, Dale, now you're going to miss your break to 150." But then when it started closing back above prior resistance, I go, you know what? This was just a little bear trap. Do you think it's sustainable just because of buyback power to drive this? It almost felt like desperation, what they
Yeah.
decided to do. What's your feel on that?
The thing is, I don't really trade Apple.
Yeah.
I'm long it in my investment account. So I feel that Apple, they just don't have anything really innovative right now that's new.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Well, they do actually, the Vision Pro. But I don't know how many people are buying that at $3,500, right? Until it
Yeah.
gets more affordable, I don't think it's going to be their bread and butter or something like the iWatch or uh,
Yeah.
something else that's selling that a lot of people are buying. But so I think they need to get more innovative and get into the AI. So the question I've been hearing is, will they have AI embedded in this next iPhone update when it comes out in fall? And that would be the question. I think Samsung does, not 100% sure on that. But if they do, that might drive people to update their iPhones, right?
Yeah.
If they don't, well, I mean, I can say I love Apple. I'm everything Apple, but like I don't ever feel the need to re-up my iPhone every year.
Okay.
I mean,
Um,
it's
yeah, I knew what for.
right. I mean,
A,
and it's
a
a
better
hassle,
camera?
personally, it's a hassle to
It
update
is.
your cell phone all the time and have it, all your information, all your contact. I mean, I know everything transfers over, but not everything transfers over, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So great points about that. And they have the China issues.
Yeah.
Everyone's there's a lot of good sponsorship in gold and silver, right? And there was a
Hmm.
lot of sponsorship because of what was going on in the Middle East with oil. But WTI kind of it looks like it's rolling over. But you know what I'm interested in, if I'm correct about a dollar turn, is some of these out of favor commodities. Here's one: natural gas. You could look at a weekly.
Natural gas looks up today, but that's
Look, yeah,
I haven't looked at that in a long time. It's gotten
look at that.
really fit.
Cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's plenty of widows out there from the Widowmaker, and
Hmm.
I'm hiding out. So anyway, we did diverge here. This is one of the outer favor ones, and then just going back to my days as a commodity broker and IB and stuff is I think the grains are worth a look. And there are ETFs on the grains. So I was going to just, fill you in if I could find them. Okay, here
And
they are.
there's
Yeah,
futures as well.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, here's the wheat,
Oh yeah, that's had a
long-term
big.
base. So
Hmm.
it's turned to dust. This was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So
Hmm.
everyone's worried about food supply. So, I mean, even if you get a retracement move, it could be pretty good. And then here's the beans that, are putting in, a higher low, even though wheat made a new low. They look okay. And even corn could be coming out of. So I think the grains are overlooked. People have been decimated trying to bottom pick them. And I think the missing ingredient was a weak dollar, because a weak dollar lifts, almost everything in nominal terms, right?
Hmm.
So just something there.
Yeah, thank you. I did trade the wheat during that period of
Up
time.
here, yeah,
Yeah. And basically traded it over just like a week. Um, and for those products, for me, the way, and it's the same with the metals, I look to swing trade those, or if I want to get long a position, like if I want to get long the metals and maybe I don't want to allot the capital in my portfolio, that's why I use the futures. But then I use the micro futures because
right,
then I can keep adding, right? And
yeah,
a lot of people look at futures as day trading, um, but it's a way you can get a position in something. And even if, like, I bought the micro futures when we were going through that big downturn in 2022,
yeah,
2021, 2022, and I just started buying like MES, that mirrors the SPY. Don't
Yeah.
have to put as much capital to work. And then you can slowly buy buy in, and you can use it as an actual position. The negative is you have to roll them right every quarter,
Big
but
deal.
it's not hard to, one time I forgot. So
Okay, you
that
got to
did cause
notice.
you
Yeah.
you got to remember to, like, I knew I needed to, but then I somehow missed it. Yeah. So you do have to be on top of it and make sure that you're having it in your calendar written down. Because that did cost me not to roll them.
Okay.
But
It's the most
huh,
efficient way, and you can do it with very reduced leverage with micro lots.
yep.
Okay.
Like an
Yeah.
like a micro MES, or a micro grain, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
I was just trying to see what the buying power was on it. So it's about $800
Yeah. Okay.
to buy a micro.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
not bad if you want to get long a position,
right.
or
And
short,
I just wanted to show this that this is supportive of a weakening dollar. The emerging markets outperforming us in the US. Hasn't done this in a long time. So
Ju-
it's making new highs way ahead of US bourses. You ever look overseas for anything?
I pay attention to it. I don't
Okay.
really trade overseas.
Okay.
So
Anyway,
what do you think is going to happen?
I think this is going to be a trend that if the dollar peaks, that a lot of markets that suffered under a strong dollar regime are coming to life, and I think it's just starting. So I would start looking for dollar hedges besides the metals, buying stocks overseas in their currencies. You could get the pop in their currency because most people, if they went overseas, they bought dollar hedged funds over the last few years, so they didn't get
Hmm.
hurt by the translation. Now I think the translation can benefit the position outside of the dollar.
That's really
So
good analysis.
you buy an Australian mining company unhedged, then you get the bang of the Aussie appreciating against the dollar and the appreciation of whatever they're mining if that commodity is appreciating. Kind of a
Hmm.
double bang there. So how
Yeah,
did
well,
you
I think it
like
would
it?
be good. It'd be good globally if I think, if the dollar did back
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Good for everyone but the American consumer because prices will go up. And if I'm right about the
Hmm.
grains, there have been that's kind of been the tame part of inflation. It hasn't shown up in grocery stores, but imagine grain prices going up now.
Right.
That would really put pressure on the consumer. So, how did you like interviewing me today?
I loved it. I have other theories on inflation and why it's going up, but we could talk about that next time.
Oh, good teaser and a good segue and a great way to start the trading week talking to you, Kim. Really appreciate
Thank,
that you come.
thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, it's great to talk to a real trader and someone who's not just trying to, sell something to the general public.
Yeah, I
And
have nothing to sell.
yeah, and how people say they if for like 5 grand they'll sell you the secret of trading,
Yeah.
or any dollar amount. I don't care if it's $10. Uh, you don't have to pay that because Kim's an example of it. That the secret is there is no secret. It's hard
Yeah.
work. It's a lot of time, and it's living through adversity. And if
Yeah.
that scares you, do something else. That's the secret.
That
So
is very true.
yeah.
And step
So
away from your screen when you feel the FOMO or
yeah. There you
want
go.
to make a rushed or panic decision, go for a walk.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
All right, there from a pro. Walk away. Walk away when you're feeling emotional. That's great advice. So Kim, thanks a lot
Exactly.
for hanging out with me today. And
Thank you so much. Always great to talk with you, Dale.
all right, and sharing your ideas with everyone. We're grateful. So
Thank you.
that's a wrap. People are thanking you. And Bruno, yes, she was talking about a T-bill account. So, all right. And you could join the team in 15 minutes on the Morning Edge. You could find Kim on X at Mama Vester. Mama Vester. And if people want to DM you and, you know, maybe they have a question for you, you're open to it, right? I guess she left. Okay. Well, I know Kim. You could send her a DM. She'll get back to you. And I'll see everyone tomorrow for Turnaround Tuesday. See you, Mike. Okay, Shiva. Adios. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings. I'll see you guys.